Now in today's video, I'm going to be installing the Alvan's B2 carrier on a Ford Transit. I'll leave a link to the video where I unboxed it and I inspected it for damage and all that went on with that. So looking in the hardware box that they send you, you're going to have a bag of labeled B1, that's the hardware for the B2 carrier. You'll have another bag that says Transit B2. This has some new bolts for your doors and your brackets. Here are the brackets for your doors. This is an interior door plate that kind of helps support the carrier, and this is a kind of like a big rubber shock for when you shut your doors. It kind of absorbs some energy. This big long screw will hold that shock, and this plate will kind of help disperse some of that force on your door. They give you instructions online. Just scan the QR code. It'll give you a link to the video and instructions that are written out. I don't know what these are. They don't show up on the instructions or online. It's unfinished. You can hear it ripping into the foam a little bit, so just don't cut yourself on them, but I found no purpose for these when I was installing it. Now looking at the brackets, you have a tall skinny one. This one will go on the bottom. All you'll need to do is put 2 screws through the small holes, and that'll help hold it onto your door, and it'll hold your hinge. The wider one that's shorter goes on the top. This one goes on nice and easy. You don't need to remove your door in order to do this. I'm just kind of showing the process. Kind of go over and under, try not to scratch anything. Try not to drop it. It's kind of the hazard of when you're filming stuff because you're looking at the camera screen rather than looking at what you're doing. But it just goes over it like this. The top and bottom bolt will be removed from the door when you do it, and it should go smoothly. Now the bottom hinge is not smooth. Now I think Al has actually redesigned these from when they initially posted the video because they said they were one-piece billet. These obviously have weld marks on it, so they're not one piece anymore. But this one does not fit over the hinge on the Ford Transit as it is. I spent so much time on this and I just gave up. I'll have to remove the hinge. Make sure you support your door with something to take the weight off a little bit so you don't bend your upper hinges at all. It went on with the hinge removed. It wasn't a big deal. It was just everything was kind of getting in its way when I was trying to do it. You can kind of see where me trying was kind of roughing it up. I don't know if it's too much powder coat on one or too much paint on the Ford Transit. I'm not sure. But this one did not fit for me without removing the hinge. It is what it is. It wasn't too bad. Don't wipe this kind of dirty mark off because it helps you line it back up. So get it lined up. Make sure your van door closes appropriately if you have to remove your hinge, which I did have to remove. They give you 4 extra bolts for this. For when you screw in your door, this is the original, so they're just slightly longer, just to accommodate the length, the thickness of the bracket they give you. There's 4 washers in there that are smaller than the rest, and those are the ones that'll go on top of these bolts when they go through the hinges and into the doors. Now after you install it, this is kind of what it looks like. So you see the top and bottom bolts are protruding further out, and then the factory bolt has a recessed area to sit in. I got them secured on there, but they're not tight yet. I just have them in place, but just slightly loose so I can manipulate them. Then I made sure my door could close. Now here's like a pro tip. I don't know if I'm really a pro, but I put the top bolt in backwards. And this is actually a longer bolt that you don't need in the box at all. Your ones you're going to use are going to be the shorter of the 2 if you do have 8 bolts, but 4 different sizes. Now the weight of the carrier is supported by the top one, and then I'll put the second one in and I'll secure it. And you can secure this bolt with the door closed. And I'll just do it secure but not tight, just so it holds on, and won't fall off. Then put your bolt in the bottom. With your B2 carrier up and slightly tight, you can kind of line it up. Just use your body weight to push it so that the piece of rubber is compressed, and then I just put this like white pencil that I used on my been using this whole time just to leave a mark. Now at this point, remove your entire carrier so that nothing is in your way. You can leave the brackets on, obviously. Now I'm going to begin drilling a hole. Here's a center punch. I'm going to get a center punch started. That way your drill bit doesn't want to walk on you, especially if you were on paint. My vinyl would kind of hold it still, but if you're on paint, you're going to want to put a mark so you make a good drill hole, nice clean one. I'm going to start with the smallest drill bit possible, and I'm going to just work up the size of my hole until it fits the bolt. I thought this was going to be the worst part of the project, but it is not that bad. Just take your time, make sure you're going to drill in the right spot, And it was not a big deal. It actually was a very easy part of the whole process. So now I have the hole stepped up until I can fit this bolt in without problem. Now I'm going to take the time, I'm going to clean the area. I need to take my vinyl off of this little spot because I don't want to adhere something to the vinyl. I need to adhere it to the actual like bodywork of the van. I just used a little rust reformer to fill in that hole. They talk about this in the Al install video as well. And then I got my vinyl peeled off so that I can actually adhere to the van, not to the vinyl. I put the bolt in the plate at this point, and I used it to help follow it in, and I put the plate on, adhered it down. And then I started working on this inner door bracket. So you can't screw the bolt in too much without getting the inner door bracket up there first. I got that kind of lined up. I could kind of, you see I have play forward and back. I could slide this back a little bit before I drill the next hole. I'm going to have to drill a hole in the top of this bracket, or not in the bracket, but in the door, to match that hole right there. And now Al in their video, they recommend using a center punch, and this is what I did. I put a center punch, just like they said, up the inside, and I punched the bodywork and created that little ridge or little rise right there, like a little pimple in the metal. That is the spot where I need to drill to make the hole. And I'm going to make this hole a little bit bigger than the screw, just to give you a little bit extra play. There's not actually a whole lot of force on this screw. It's more to hold the bracket in its proper position, just an extra point to help hold the bracket. So I like that. That looks good. I'll use a little rust reformer in there as well. I put the entire carrier back on at this point. Once everything was lined up and I started screwing in the bumper part, I did tighten these hinges down, or these brackets down on the hinge area. So everything is nice and tight, and now I'm working this closer and closer to the van until I start to compress, that piece of rubber for that bumper piece. I got that all tightened down. These bolts are getting tight now too. You don't have to over tighten any of this, honestly. You just have to get it just snug and tight. Nothing crazy. Don't like wrenching on this and busting any bolts off. You can see I got this tightened down to the point where there was really no air and I can't move it. I can't spin it. But if you compress that too much, like that's your spring for when you close the door. So don't over compress that part. And the install is basically done. I mean, this is it for this part. I'm going to put thread locker on everything now at this point. And then let's get the mini Sherpa up. So using pretty much the same hardware, they all pretty much use the same type of stuff. The mini Sherpa is going to fit on the top of my B2, and I marked this out inside the house previously because I had to drill extra holes. These extra holes are kind of drilled by me. It has to just ride a little high because the monster box is so big. I found a Rust-Oleum pen. I'm going to use this on my monster box damage too that I was given, I guess. But it actually works pretty good for covering the aluminum. And then here's what it looks like with the mini Sherpa on the top and no monster box underneath yet, but it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this, with the B2. It's pretty nice, and I can get more mini Sherpas if I want and line them up underneath it if I want to like put a ski rack. So there's a lot of options. Now, some people, they might ask, why did I switch to Al over the Aluminess? And this is my Aluminess tire carrier. It did not require drilling, so there's no drill marks in your van. So that was why I went with Aluminess at first. It uses this bracket, it goes on the side of your door, and it's secured here with 3 screws underneath that little door handle. The only thing with using this and having it, when you slam your door, or say you shut your door and maybe you slam it too hard, the force is directed like a knife into those 3 screw heads. So you could very well shear these 3 screw heads off. And I don't like that now that I have it. So I was willing to drill holes. But now, if you shut your door, because you have a drill hole, a rubber shock, a plate that disperses the force, and then you have this inner door bracket to kind of help disperse the force on the inside of the door as well. When you shut your door, it's flat force. It's not as shearing. So that's why I went with it. And now this is all drilled up. This is ready to get installed. So that'll be in the next video. Like and subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.